Okay, this is the Independence class aircraft carrier in the World of Warships beta. I have this set up as an anti-fighter ship at the moment because I keep running into Saipans, making my air groups owned by their far, far better aircraft.
Ready for takeoff.
In this particular match, I'm going to try and use my aircraft to cover my battle line, my two battleships, and any cruisers there with them, against potential enemy attack, while my bombers look for opportunities to do a little damage here and there and assist my naval allies. So I start off by sending out my aircraft to try and get a good spot on the middle of the map where the capture area is, to see if I can spot any enemy battleships so that my battleships can start firing into them. And due to the nature of this map, you can see there's contact pretty darn quickly. And there's both the enemy battleships being, well, I don't know if they're being spotted by me or if they're being spotted by someone else. You can see here, it looks like I've got I think that's a Langley helping me out. And both the enemy battleships have been found along with two cruisers. You can see the shells are already flying back and forth like crazy. So my fighter groups move to take control of the middle area, and I start sending my dive bombers up to see if they can find a cruiser to drop a bomb on. Preferably something with light enough anti-aircraft I don't lose too many of them in the attack, so I don't have a lot of dive bombers to spare. Alright, my fighter groups are now set up. They're deployed to potentially screen against any enemy aircraft that might come against the battleships moving up the eastern side. I myself am moving to follow the battle line at 3/4 speed. That's fast enough to probably keep up with them without hopefully getting so close that I find myself getting cornered.
Engaging enemy.
By anything bad. Send the dive bombers in. Dive bombers do a quick bomb run on enemy cruiser. Hey, they got a couple hits and they managed to set them on fire. That's very nice. Let's bring the dive bombers back to start reloading. They do a lot of damage, but every little bit helps. Pick up some speed, bring it up to all ahead flank when I realize I'm starting to fall a little bit far behind the battle line. I want to try and keep with them to minimize the amount of time I need to reload without getting so close that I get spotted and turned into a hunk of junk. Still haven't seen any enemy bombers, which is distressing me a little bit. That's really what I'm looking for. Torpedo bombers for my fighter bombers to pounce on. I will take on enemy fighters if I see them too. Anything to help gain control of the air. And that's when, boom, they start popping up. Two torpedo bombers headed towards my battleships from the west. The enemy carriers have apparently taken refuge in the great vastness of the northwest. But for right now, we're just gonna be patient. Let him try and let him make the first mistake. Dive bombers have landed and are rearming, and now the torpedoes got close enough. My fighters go screaming in to try and pull and intercept. Fortunately, I'm still a little new at this. They've shown up a little bit too slow. Also, I didn't notice the fact that I just reached destination. My carriers come to a full halt. And in a few moments, I'm going to be spotted by enemy cruiser, and I'm going to have some desperate moments. So torpedo bombers have done their, it looks like they're trying to do their attack run. My fighters have shown up to try and get them, and that's when, oh, that's a cruiser moving in on my carrier. That's really bad. Realizing I've stopped, I get myself a new destination and start getting moving, because I don't really want to get caught. Dive bombers get a good hit on that cruiser, though, as they go in. And that's going to prove to be important for what happens to me for the rest of the game. Enemy torpedo bombers are being slaughtered by my fighters. Nothing was around to cover them. And boom, enemy torpedo bomber groups are down. And there goes the enemy cruiser. Yup. I set one fire with a dive bomb, and that took him clean out. So it's 4-4. I'm feeling pretty confident that as long as I keep moving, I'll be able to keep up. Unfortunately, my friendly Langley has gotten himself in a lot of trouble. Is now alone. It's him and a destroyer and a cruiser are taking on whatever's coming out of the southern side while I move up here to try and do something. Dive bombers are nearly finished again. I'm going to try myself a little bit more turn. I'm starting to feel like a little close, but got to get the fight in. Select my dive bombers, launch them. I'm trying to figure out who to go for next. The only downside of only having dive bombers is that it's very hard to turn the sea battle with just dive bombers. Yeah, I got that cruiser, but he was on low health anyways. I got lucky to set him on fire. That's usually what bombs do, by the way. They set people on fire and injure them, just to, force them to use their repair kits. I've since learned that apparently your preferred targets when you're dive bombers is actually destroyers, because they're so lightly armored you can actually score penetrating hits and kill things. At this point, I've suddenly noticed that there's any fighter group harassing one of my fighter groups, and I turn around to try and get a fight in, but it's too late. They're already mostly dead. I did say that, I'm not very good at the whole intercept thing yet. So he's got temporary air control up here, and here comes the torpedo bombers. Send my dive bombers in on this cruiser. And I start launching my fighters to try and regain control of the air up here. Actually, those torpedo groups are all over the place. Hey, scored a hit on the cruiser, set on fire, but of course he puts it out immediately. Send one fighter group after his fighter group. Send the other fighter group after the full-strength torpedo bombers to try and slow them down. Once again, come to a full stop. And both enemy carrier groups have been found by the Langley's fighters. Now it's my turn to rip his fighters apart, wherever those are. Trying to shoot down all of the torpedo bombers so they can't bother my big ships. Oops. I accidentally forgot to select my ship. So I accidentally disengage a group of fighters. Send them back after torpedo bombers. Group 2 shoots down the fighters. Bring them back to the carrier to reload. Dive bombers are nearly done. Gonna have to try and find a way to get them back in the fight.
Concentrate fire on the enemy warship.
Ready.
Oh, I'd love to, but my dive bombers are just finished reloading. I turn back on the speed to try and stay away from a destroyer that I see coming up from the south. I'm just not interested in that, thank you very much. What I really want to do is put a bomb on the decks of those aircraft carriers. Don't want to get too close to the aircraft carriers, though they do have nasty anti-aircraft guns. That's when I suddenly see that there's a destroyer moving to cap. Alright, have my dive bombers move that way. I think I can take out the destroyer with them. Meanwhile, my other friendly carrier's been sunk. And my fighter groups have got their hands full. Lots of aircraft left. One air group is reloading, but I realize I gotta try and do something to try and keep the my battleship safe from the torpedo bombers. While my dive bombers go for this capping destroyer. Sea fighters coming on group 3, rather than lose them all, turn them to try and at least put some fight in. Group 2 is just now launching, but it's going to be too late for me to help out this one battleship. There's just too many of them. Score a good hit on the destroyer, set them on fire, get a partial reset on them, but that's not enough to really stop him, unfortunately. Yeah, now the torpedo bombers coming in on my friendly battleships don't have enough air cover around anymore to help out. Fortunately, one enemy carrier has also gone down, so it's back to a quote-unquote fair fight. It's pretty clear he's got probably 2 torpedo groups and 1 fighter group, so in theory I should be able to swat his stuff out of the sky pretty straightforwardly. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at the fight at the moment, got 2 battleships and a cruiser taking on 2 carriers. I'll take on a carrier. He's also got 2 cruisers and a destroyer. Should be okay, right? Yeah. Alright, my fighters are losing, apparently. I don't even know why. I feel like they should be able to handle what they hit, but they're having a hard time getting rid of them. And there goes one of the cruiser, unfortunately. So now I'm just running westward, hoping to catch up my battleships and help them kill the carriers, so then I can hide behind them while we kill the cruisers. What I should be doing at this point was trying to spot those cruisers. But one of them's actually being spotted because he's close enough to see me. Uh-oh. Turn up to full throttle. Right flank, and I'm taking abuse here. Fortunately, the destroyer is now broken through and is going in after the battleships. And my dive bombers, well, I've forgotten they're out there, quite honestly. Too busy trying to win the air battle over here. Then suddenly remember they're there and send them in to dive bomb this nearly full health cruiser. I'm in a lot of trouble. And the battleship is way too far away to easily help. Well, it's not that they couldn't range in on this guy. Ah, got at least one bomb hit on him. But yeah, I got 2 cruisers shooting at me, and the 2 battleships are busy dealing with that destroyer. Battleships don't deal with destroyers very well. So with no enemy carriers left, I just keep my fighters around to try and spot things. Well, no, actually, no, I send them off to try and at least get some more kills. Because at this point, you know, when spotting the enemy is not my planes, but me. And now I'm on fire. No air ops when you're on fire, so I immediately repair, which was actually a mistake. I should have waited until my dive bomber was ready and then repair. Now, if I catch fire again, my dive bombs are going to be stuck on board. Meanwhile, destroyers having a field day taking down battleships with torpedo runs. And I'm not going to be able to run. Like, I'm trying to run this cruiser, but the angle's bad. I'm not being forced to zigzag to avoid fire. Now I'm on fire just before my dive bombers could have taken off. Had I just let myself burn, I could now put out the fire and launch my dive bombers, but instead I'm going to have to wait another full minute to try and launch my bombers, and there's 2 cruisers shooting at me. I'm not going to last that long. I continue maneuvering, just trying desperately to keep my carrier alive while I can. But yeah, battleship versus destroyer. Well, battleship does kill the destroyer. And I'm sunk. Oh well. Guess that's just how it is sometimes. But now we've got 2 cruisers facing off with a battleship. Let's see how that goes for him. Because battleships, of course, are meant to kill cruisers. It's kind of what they do. All they have to do is, well, if it's an American cruiser, you get really close so you don't miss. If it's a Japanese cruiser, you back away so that he can't torpedo you. And in either case, your firepower will ultimately, and armor ultimately win out over the cruisers. Now, there are 2 of them. He's got a lot of shooting to do. And at some point here, I suddenly get smart and say, hey, I'll go see what the battleship's doing. We'll get to see how he fights these 2 cruisers, or tries to. Here it is, Congo-class battle cruiser. He just dodged a salvo of torps from that cruiser over there, because he's a Japanese one. And very smartly, he knows the torpedo-armed one is the more dangerous one, so he is shooting at him. That was a big, painful hit. And the other cruiser, he's having a hard time ranging in on the battleship. The battleship might actually have run out of range of the other cruiser. But the Congo has an enormous gun range. And will have absolutely no problem whatsoever shooting at these cruisers. He's just headed for the cap circle. Yep, he's going to force them to come and fight him. He can see them and shoot them. And that's the end of 1 cruiser. Now, that's a full health, well, nearly full health, Omaha cruiser. Omahas are nasty because they're fast and they have torpedoes. But he's not terribly well armed in the gun department. His broadside is technically as heavy as the St. Louis's. But in my experience, the St. Louis's broadside is actually somewhat stronger than the Omaha's. I think it's a tiny bit more accurate. So what he's doing right now is he's just opening the distance on the Omaha, because he's actually about as fast as the Omaha. And that's pretty good range advantage. So right now, yeah, he's not even looking at him with his guns, but he launches a spotter, so keep an eye on him. He starts bringing his guns around as he enters the cap circle to force the Omaha to come in and fight. So right now, the Omaha technically has the hit point advantage. He's got about 2,000 more hit points than the Congo. But if he's going to use it, he's going to keep it. He's going to have to get in close up to the battleship to use his torpedoes. That means he has to get to about, I think it's 5 kilometers is the maximum range in the Omaha's torpedoes. And that's really dangerously close to a battleship for a cruiser. Most cruisers, most American cruisers, like to hang out at their maximum gun range, which the Omaha's about 10 kilometers, to try and generate as many misses as possible by the battleship, whose guns are generally way less accurate, while he pounds on them with much more accurate main battery. So, what's this Omaha going to do? Well, he just wants to be able to see the battleship. Yeah, the battleship brings the full broadside around and just starts shrugging off the hits. And yeah, some of those salvos are pretty good. Looks like he was firing high explosive because some of the shells, even though they did direct hits, they still did damage. And that Omaha is closing the distance. He's thinking torpedoes. And thanks to the battleship's slow reload, he actually stands a very real chance of getting it if he get close enough without being just wrecked by the battleship's much heavier armament. The battleship, for his part, is trying to put islands in places where they can help protect him from the Omaha shells, while he reloads for another big broadside. And that was another decent hit. The Omaha's now looking a little bit more fragile. He certainly has less hit points. So one good torpedo salvo will change that. And here we are. We've hit maximum range for the torpedoes. The cruiser is barreling in like a bat out of hell. So me and several other people all yell warnings to him to look out for torpedoes. You can see the secondary batteries now coming into play, firing automatically at the Omaha. But at this range, the battleship's guns are not going to miss very much. And that was another big hit at the Omaha. And there's his torpedoes. Congo figured out they were coming, and he was able to only eat one torpedo, which is a big advantage for him, because now that cruiser's got almost a full minute before he's going to reload, and in that time, the battleship's going to get to shoot him at least twice. Who thinks he's going to live to see the second salvo? And now he's on fire. The answer is, he will not survive to see the second salvo. So I actually did alright there. I defended the base 4 times, got 4 bomb hits, shot down 24 enemy planes, as well as sinking that cruiser that was coming for me, which actually came out with a decent score. And you can see the other team actually had some pretty good performances as well. I mean, that Omaha there at the end, look at his score, 1400 base experience is nothing to be laughed at in World of Warships beta. So here's my final tally. Shot down a bunch of planes. 10 torpedo bombers and 14 fighter bombers. Not bad. Fighter bombers, no, just fighters. I did a little damage here and there to multiple enemy ships by either dropping bombs on them or shooting them actually with my secondary batteries. Again, no secondary batteries didn't fire any shots. That's all just bomb hits. Took a ton of abuse, of course, because, well, someone was shooting at me, and I lost 21 planes of my own. So running about even 1-to-1 for air kills. But hey, a win's a win. I hope you enjoyed watching that bit of gameplay. Good game, and good night.